So now that there's hours of AC Valhalla footage out there, people are starting to give their opinions on the game, and one of the main things that keeps coming up is Valhalla's status as an Assassin's Creed game. Today I'm going to be giving my own thoughts on that, and as I say, they are my own thoughts. So if you guys disagree, that's totally fine, and I don't even want to know why. With that said, this video is purely about Valhalla as an Assassin's Creed game. I think Valhalla looks like a great game on its own merits, and it's something I'd buy regardless of its title, which I'll get into later. But what I care about most here as a lifelong fan of the series is that this is a good Assassin's Creed game. Here's what I think so far. So first of all, I think the most important thing to take into account here is Ubisoft's marketing. Everything they've done and the demo they released is entirely deliberate. Ubisoft have been done marketing the assassin elements of AC basically since Unity. The fact the overview ends by telling you this is a Viking saga, or the whole hashtag like a Viking thing, isn't really that surprising, and I think there'll be far more to it than just what Ubisoft are showing us. What's gotten me and a ton of older fans hyped isn't the trailers showing you this epic Viking game, it's been interviews or tweets from Darby telling us about very promising things. He's told us about how he's bringing confessions back, that the game narratively is going to involve a lot of AC lore. He sort of hinted at databases coming back too. What I'm trying to get across is that just because Ubisoft aren't showing much traditional AC stuff doesn't mean it isn't there. I'd recommend following Darby on Twitter as he answers a ton of questions about the game, and as I say, he says some very promising things. Darby at this point is the main reason I have hope in Valhalla as an AC. He wrote Black Flag and Revelations, which I think is the best story the series has given us. Darby is one of the few big creatives left at Ubisoft who I feel really gets what the series is about and isn't going to steer us wrong. The fact he's writing this fills me with a ton of hope, because even in a worst case scenario, we're getting a great Assassin's Creed story at the very least. He said it's going to be heavy on the lore, so that's brilliant, although a game is nothing without gameplay, so let's talk more about that. I'll start with the positives. Social stealth. Social stealth is so important to Assassin's Creed, and it's been absent for years, and seeing it here looking as good as it does was great, and it genuinely looks like it might be the best part of the game on a gameplay level. Not only can you blend with crowds and sit at benches as you could in the older games, you can also interact with things in the same way you could in that one AC4 demo, for example. The fact this game has not just social stealth, but potentially the best social stealth we've seen on top of a very assassin oriented story, that makes me feel like this is going to be a better AC game than either of the two RPGs. We can also inquire there's going to be some Levantine involvement. This assassin was in the trailer who's dressed exactly like a Levantine. He's also missing his ring finger and has the throwing knives on his waist just like a Levantine assassin. And that's the way I thought this game was going to go back in the Ragnarok days, that it'd be a thread between AC Origins and AC1 by bridging the hidden ones over to the Levantines, and that'd be really cool if that is actually what's happening, which I think it is. In terms of other things that I think are good additions, we'll desynchronize for killing innocents again. That didn't happen in Odyssey. Hidden Blade insta-kills we knew about, but we can actually use those assassinations on bosses with a quick time event if we have the right skill, and I love that so much. The soundtrack is also bound to be phenomenal. Jesper Kyd, the best composer the series has ever seen, as well as Sarah Schachner, who's up there herself, are both composing this, and both of them make absolutely great music, especially ambient music, which is a really underappreciated element of this series. I feel it's very easy to see over half an hour of gameplay for the game and see only hints of your typical AC stuff and then write it off. I was very disappointed at the time, but when you realise there's definitely still bits of what we loved about the series that aren't at the forefront of the promotion, it makes things seem far more optimistic. With all that said, let's talk about the negatives. Obviously the main issue so many people have is with gender choice. Once again, we've got a female protagonist and then a male one as a safety net Ubisoft don't particularly need, especially when you consider the success of games with female leads in recent years. One of the reasons I dislike this is because it goes against the fundamental law of Assassin's Creed at its very core. Some of the first dialogue you ever hear in the series is this exchange between Desmond and Vidic. Vidic asks Desmond what a memory is, and he says the recollection of a past event, not, oh, I don't know, whatever Ubisoft thinks will sell more units. Might be this, might be that, you know, a cheeky animus glitch, can't read the DNA, some shit like that. It's so clear this idea of crafting a universe of tightly knit lore with these rules is long gone. It has been for years. All Ubisoft are doing is digging this hole deeper, and it's obvious it's just going to be another case of the animus glitching or something like that. I really hope it's not though. If it's not, I'll be happy to have been proved wrong. I hate the idea that either your choices won't matter in the grand scheme of things, rendering them useless, or they'll have huge effects, at which point Ubisoft has the choice to either make certain choices or or even endings canon, again rendering choices pointless, or they don't confirm what's canon, and this once tightly knit universe is left totally wide open in a state where nothing matters. Despite all that though, the silver lining is that Eivor is going to have a coherent personality, unlike Cassandra or Alexios, which is genuinely good. Darby is a phenomenal character writer who I'm sure will make the best of a bad situation, which to be fair, we wouldn't be in if Ubisoft just committed to one character and one path, but again, I'm getting sort of carried away. My second big issue with Valhalla is the movement. I will say I'm glad you can toggle between sprinting and jogging. It'd be nice if we had a fast walk option like in the older titles, but just those three are an improvement. Something I knew I wasn't going to be a fan of, basically as soon as the game was announced to be centered around Vikings, was the parkour. The parkour in the last two games hasn't been very good for Assassin's Creed and generally very surface level. While it looks similar here, it does look smoother, but basically just as poor. Odyssey and Origins did have some dense areas that would have been decent for parkour with a better system, but they were few and far between, and it seems to basically be the same here. It's very disappointing to see the series' very unique traversal become less than secondary, but I think most of us were expecting this. I suppose as well I should talk a bit about the RPG features of the game. They do look good in terms of functionality, but very derivative. I'm really not a fan of the series being an RPG, as it's made AC far more generic, and a lot of the series' identity has been left behind. And it's not like that was necessary to become an RPG, to totally dumb down parkour or take away the assassin focus, but they did anyway. Every long-running series should evolve, but that's not what Assassin's Creed has done. Instead of taking what's there and what's so special about the series on a gameplay level and evolving that into something better, they've taken things from other games that worked for those at the expense of the series' identity, at least major pieces of the series' identity. No longer are you navigating urban environments that are fun to traverse, nor are you using a grounded combat system that makes you feel like an assassin. Instead, you are a Viking who goes raiding and fights mythical creatures on hallucinogens. I knew this wouldn't be a classic AC experience long before it was announced, but on the bright side, because there very much is a bright side despite what I've been saying, it's shaping up to be the strongest AC-like game we've seen since maybe Unity or maybe Syndicate. It really depends. I don't think everything I love about the series is gone, but I don't think Valhalla is going to be a truly strong Assassin's Creed title, and unless the next gen game is something truly special, then Unity is going to be the last game, at least for a while, that actually made you feel like an assassin in the world of Assassin's Creed. And I don't mean to sound pessimistic or one-sided either, because there's some really great things here in regards to AC. The story, soundtrack and social stealth are all going to be brilliant. It's amazing that the modern day is being given the time of day again. My issue isn't so much that the series' identity is totally absent, because it isn't. It's more the fact that a Viking fantasy is taking more precedence over the assassin one, when I'd rather it be the other way round. Either way, I think Valhalla is going to be a very good game, and I'm super optimistic about it. I have to reiterate that just to avoid certain comments, because I feel I can come off as a bit pessimistic at times when I'm trying my best to be two-sided. Either way, if you do disagree, that's totally fine. This is just my take. Everyone's going to have their own. If you did enjoy, maybe leave a like, and if you didn't, maybe let me know why. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all next time.